Welcome to the Festival of Entrepreneurs, recorded live at the NEC in Birmingham. Over the next few minutes, you'll hear from some of the most incredible founders, investors, and business leaders who joined us this year.
So we're going to talk specifically about scaling. Now, I've just come from an AI panel, and I'd love for you to jump in, and we'll do a bit of a popcorn here. How do we scale our teams now when we know that AI is potentially going to change the way that we look at the workforce? Joe, I'm going to come to you first.
Oh.
Or Boris.
Well, we try not to scale the team as much as it is feasible. Now, the first question I'm asking, okay, can this job be replaced completely? Or can somebody else do this job with AI's help? Like, we have one accountant filing, well, technically it's not him filing, but like for thousands of clients. But effectively it's AI filing.
So you're deciding not to hire?
Well, unless we absolutely have to. Engineers, yes.
What's your thoughts, John?
I ran a business which was an agency, so that's heavily dependent on people. So like my entire experience was getting as many people through the door meant we could get more revenue. But now when you look at it from a tech perspective, Boris is exactly right, is that you're seeing some of the biggest businesses, Lovable, Fixer AI, scale to hundreds of millions and billions of valuation with teams of 10, 20, 30 people. So taking that as a kind of first principle, as Boris said there, the question you should ask is that how do I scale a team that is AI efficient as individuals, but secondly, how can I scale the business using AI so that I don't have to hire people? I was told in business you have two problems, okay? The first problem is people, and the second problem is how long it takes you to realize your only problem is people. So that's the role AI is going to play, is making it much easier to grow bigger businesses quicker.
Joe, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a constant conundrum at the moment. I think that sadly there are just no entry-level jobs. I think the statistics about the sort of where have all the graduate jobs gone in the UK. But I think every single person that you bring into your business, you need to understand their sell-by date. Some are really, really good for immediate impact, but actually their sell-by date is going to be the next 18 months, 2 years. And it sounds awful talking about people with sell-by dates, but I always imagine this sort of imaginary fridge and all your team are in there and you just got to keep saying, constantly checking. I think it's when you're talking about hyperscale, though, I think it's really important to look at people that are going to impact and really come into their own in like 6 months of landing. And that, for me, is the real trick, especially with the leaders, finding the ones that can almost take a step back in their career initially to then supercharge so that as your rocket ship's going up, they just hit with their absolute superpower just at the right moment when you need it. And typically, those are the ones that get that right, become unicorns.
Sam?
Yeah, no, I think it's a good question. AI has completely changed our business efficiency, but it's also really important who's actually managing the AI tools. I mean, I met the Lovable team in Sweden that Dominic just mentioned, and those 30 people are some of the brightest, most incredible minds ever. And I think AI is a massive piece of it, but unless you have incredibly diligent and kind of people that have a vision managing that particular kind of line item, things can get kind of messy as well. I think we're still trying to work out what that balance looks like of kind of leadership, mixing the physical and virtual and autonomous. So yeah, it's an amazingly interesting time anyways.
I don't think the analogy of hire slow, fire fast has ever been more applicable now. To that point, really understanding who's coming into your business. We're in a market which is definitely employer-led. 4 or 5 years ago, it was employee-led, and they could get jobs easily. But now employers have got more power. So taking a really slow hiring process, making sure you've got the right assessments in place to ascertain to that point there whether they are excellent individuals, and making sure that when they embed, to Joe's point there, around that 6 months, they are someone who's going to grow with the organisation. And ultimately, a company is just the sum of the people in the room. So those people in your room on your team, you have to make sure they are of the highest calibre.
Yeah, I think just one final thing to say is that I advise lots of founders of some very well-known brands in the UK, and they're all asking me the same question about AI, and nobody's got the answers at the moment. So I was talking to the CTO and founder of a really well-known consumer brand, e-commerce brand last week, and everybody is trying to figure this out. So if you haven't got the answers yet, don't worry, everybody's in the same position, and I'm hoping the way's going to become clear over the coming months.
It's interesting. Hands up if you have a team, and keep your hand up if your team's over maybe 5 people. So a lot of the question is, one, about when is the time to hire, but the second is, you have a team, and some of those teams are going to be doing low-entry admin, data. There's going to be some slack that's going to easily be replaced. So where do we stand in terms of the discussion of being able to let team members go in comparison to allowing them to have the resources to learn about how to implement and give their jobs to AI so that we can leverage them more and that they grow their skill sets?
It's like a loaded question, right? 10 options in one, all of the above. I mean, it's in a way nothing has changed, because in a team, every member needs to grow faster than the company grows. And the way I like to think about it, there is where the person is now, and then there is the potential. And some people are already a bit above their potential.
The job of the leader, job of the founder, is to raise the bar. Every day you raise the bar. And then with some people, they might not be there yet, but their potential is 10 times full. And there was invested. And then it's like good at end. It's how team plays together. It can be a bunch of huge great performers out there to kill each other instead of making a win for the business. And then again, how combined it is getting to use all the modern tech. So, and just balancing somewhere the thing that is. Maybe the key to survival, not to scale, is just to survival.
I think what Jo mentioned there about her experience talking to an e-com brand is you're seeing businesses getting a little bit more top heavy. You know, rather than the bottom heavy of people filling in jobs. You know, when I think about a marketing world, you used to need a production assistant, a social media manager, a paid social expert, a copywriter. You needed all these roles of people to do things. Now, in marketing, you've got essentially this concept of full stack marketer who can do everything using AI. But what you're seeing is you're getting businesses who they need to fill up their kind of advisory board and the tech stack and the marketing, because actually the knowledge of how to execute on a top level is actually saving costs on a bottom level. So what you're seeing actually is probably a shift where you might have a team which is doing 10, 20 million quid through a 10, 15 people, but actually the senior team is 5 people, or the advisors are broader because that knowledge is more powerful than ever before.
Yeah, I agree. I think right now as well, when I speak to founders, I actually challenge them. Do they need a permanent full-time person right now? Is it actually just one business problem that you could probably solve with a coffee's worth of insights? You know, there could be 3 people that you meet and you get the answer to your question. You actually don't need to hire somebody. Or is it actually just a short, sharp shot of expertise? So is it somebody to just come in for the next 3 months for 1 day a week? Or is it a full-time person that's with me in the cockpit, driving this thing for the next 2 years? And those, I think, are the things we sometimes go too fast to hire, back to your original point, whereas actually there's so many different ways to bring people, whether it's fractional or advisor or consultant, or just grab a coffee. You might just get the answer, and that might be the only intelligent insight that person ever gives you. And so, you know, all you've paid for is the cost of a coffee.
And that's not an AI piece. That is the democratisation of information that the internet has given us, is that if you think back to the 70s and 80s of people building a business there, your knowledge was kept in your organisation and you had your secret recipe and your secret sauce that you didn't let the outside world know about. What's happened with the internet and social media is that information has got accessible to everyone. So where previously you were having to try, learn, develop and test things in your own areas, actually now, a quick Google, you can solve a problem. So actually that dependency on people to figure things out is less than it's ever been before.
I'd be really interested, Samuel, from your perspective as well, because these are very people-heavy businesses, and yours is very technical, very business. So does your opinion matter and change here?
Yeah, firstly, on the band piece, I would have loved to have replaced my singer with AI, We're always looking for him around Moseley and these, places in Birmingham. But yeah, it's a good point. I come back to early stage, it's never been easier to get from 0 to 1, and I think that's what's the most exciting thing about, kind of adapting AI into your workflows. So if you're like a technical founder, you now can be proficient in marketing. Or if you're a, marketing founder, you can use tools, like Cursor, Lovable, these kind of vibe coding platforms to get to market earlier. So I think, it's all about, I think it's getting, in terms of a funding perspective, I think things are really going to change in terms of when and why VC and funding is needed. But mistakes in my first business all came from overspending. And a lot of that was, my friend Johnny needs a job. Let's bring him to San Francisco. Or, I made so many errors with judgment around staff. And Dom mentioned it's like that's the most critical point when you're going from 0 to 1, getting product market fit, getting revenue, proving out the idea. So, my advice would be, utilize AI tools as much as possible. If you're not building already, I'd spend every day vibe coding and, getting to know how to use these tools, building your own brand and whatnot. And, and then once you have something that works, then you can worry about the funding, who you bring in to help you scale that. But, I think gone are the days of trying to raise without prototypes or having a 10-person team. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I'd try to get to 0 to 1 with the yourself and very limited resources.
Yeah, to echo that, Stripe did an analysis of how much it costs to start a business, and in 2012, I think it was, to get a product to market was about 4 million quid.
Yeah.
And that was tech, that was people, that was tech, that was marketing. The same research done this year is £40,000. That's an efficiency of 99%. It's come down in the last 12 years.
That's awesome.
Which is incredible, but as you said, it completely tears out the early stage funding market.
Yeah.
Because £40,000, yes, it's a lot of money to some people, but you can find that. And so actually building a product to get to from 0 to 1 has never been easier. So actually, that's why we've seen so many good businesses come out, because previously what founders had to do and spend their time was raising money to deliver a product.
Sure.
Now founders are in delivery mode. So they're in build and sell mode at the same time. So that's why it feels like we're getting better founders, because they're not spending their time having to raise money to prove their idea. They can prove their idea, then raise money and scale it, which is so much better.
Yeah.
Quick hands up.
Great.
Does anyone know what vibe coding is? Ooh, this is like the most exciting thing that you're going to hear this entire, what day are we? Tuesday? This entire week. Would you like to explain in 30 seconds what vibe coding is and how you're probably going to change the life of anyone who's looking to scale a business?
Well, it's just the same as using ChatGPT. But it kicks out iOS apps or websites or whatever kind of function. Lovable is, ChatGPT kind of, just launched their own builder this week. That's pretty good. But there's a lot of these different platforms that really enables anyone to use prompts and your kind of vision to develop everything from creativity to technical implementation.
So I'll tell you my experience with vibe coding. I got really bored one night and I just created a Wild West survival game. So I watched 1813 and Yellowstone and got really into the Wild West.
Me
and
too.
I was like, did you?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just going to create like a survival game for the Wild West that was basically based on 1818.
Can you send it to me?
I'll send it to you. Yeah. 20 quid. But I just built that entire app from the game I played and then the prompts and then built the interface. And it took me one night and I had a game that I could play for myself.
There's like 13, 14-year-old kids who are making, significantly revenue, driven businesses from their basements.
Imagine you have an idea of an app. You can type it and the app appears.
We should have done it on stage now.
Yeah,
That would be great.
Good idea.
What I'd be also very interested is in the leadership side of things. So talking to my team, and I have an incredible team, Jess is somewhere at the back, part of it was, how are we going to scale using AI? And the first thing and the first conversation was, oh, I'm going to lose my job, or I'm scared, or I'm going to be replaced. So how do you have that initial conversation saying, you know, this is happening anyway, you have the choice to go forwards, or you can learn with me and we grow together?
I think to Joe's refrigerator point, you know, if you're someone who's anti-embracing AI, your sell-by date isn't 6 months, it's 2-3 months, you know.
Max.
So I think that when we're sat here looking at a frontier, so I was very successful in what I would call a frontier, where social media was this wave which came about 12 years ago, and I rode that wave and I was at the forefront of it. AI is just the next frontier where businesses need to adopt to it, and they need to integrate in the business. And in 10 years' time, we'll look back and be like, there's new businesses who embraced AI, old businesses which embraced it, which are now thriving. There's those that didn't embrace AI, same way that people didn't embrace social and the internet, and now are dead. And for me, it's survival. It's, to Joe's point, if you don't, as an individual, embrace AI and able to add value to an organization through utilizing it, your sell-by date is coming up pretty quick.
It's quite bleak.
No,
But I don't think that's age agnostic either.
In a positive
No.
way, it's bleak if you
No.
don't do it, but very, very exciting if you do.
everyone in this room is hearing it, so like they've got a massive advantage
Those are
because
ahead.
they're hearing it right now.
Yeah.
So the people out there, as you say, who still don't know who ChatGPT is, we live and breathe it because we're in this environment. But unfortunately, there are some people who will embrace it and be quicker at adopting it than others who won't.
I think it's also an amazing opportunity for one lone founder. They say the next billion-dollar unicorn will be one founder, one employee on their own. But going back to leadership, I think in my team, everybody works with AI every single day, and you've just got to stay curious. You've got to get involved, and I think it's great. I've really struggled with concentration and, you know, somewhere on that spectrum, and so I've tried to find the hacks all the way through my career. And right now, being able to speak into my phone rather than having to sit at a desk, and you know, the tools I've got around me are creating my strategies and my plans, I've found invaluable. So I try and lead from the front all of that stuff as well.
I think something people kind of don't like to talk about these days is that AI will not scale a business. It might help you scale a business, but in order to scale a business, I think you need to scale clients, you need to scale the revenues, you need to scale your energy. So AI would empower that, but it would not bring you a bunch of clients and bunch of new revenue. Still have to, and it's like, in a way, if you're riding a bicycle, there is a speed limit to how fast you can go. If you want to go way faster, you need to invent a car. And scaling FPs is just doing everything a bit better. Moving from a bicycle to a car takes this all, or from a course to a car, for a better example, it takes a whole invention of everything.
I think to Boris's point, looking back at how AI founders used to have to spend a lot of their time raising, you know, because that was the nature of it. And now, if you look at how the costs have gone down, founders can spend more time selling, can spend more time growing the product and spending the team. So you're completely right. Is that it's not a silver bullet for anyone. They think, okay, my business is sat here. If I do this little bit of smart AI here and add a little bit of AI here and sprinkle this in here, my business is going to explode. It actually just gives the founder and the leadership team more ability to look at opportunities and seize those opportunities.
But don't make sure you take the prompt off before you send the content to your boss. So that's my
No long
hate,
dashes.
Yeah, M dash, right?
What's been the biggest game changer for you when it's been, and I'd like to go to you, Sam, first, how you've actually brought in AI over the last few years?
I mean, it's more so we're very technical heavy. We're solving extremely complex problems. So, you know, it's really more so on the technical side where we've been able to really see kind of, you know, it's really more shots at the dartboard. It's having that infinite kind of ability to create more code, you know. But saying that, you need incredibly competent technical people looking at that code. It's also like using AI for creative. You know, we have an amazing creative director that, you know, has a 15-year history curating amazing content and brand, and, you know, she gets much better results out of utilizing AI than, say, you know, I would. So, you know, I think again, it's like, yeah, bring it into the workflow, use it to move fast. But, you know what, Boris, it's not going to solve all the problems. You need vision, you need curation, and you still need that ability to be able to execute. That hasn't changed. AI will never, I don't think, you know, give you the tools to be able to, you know, really, you know, put that grit, determination, and, you know, resilience in to, you know, execute a business.
When we started in the gate 8 years ago, and we were AI first, but AI was just not the word that we used to say, data science or whatever. At the time, okay, we were able to automate 45-50% of client interaction because we were usually chat-based before it was very popular. Oh, now we can do 80%, and with new technology, we're able to do like 96, like that. But it's not about kind of bringing AI in. It's about thinking, okay, how can I perfect the customer experience and cut all the extra stuff? It's about what processes can I eliminate altogether? What processes can I automate? And then, okay, can I use ABCD technology to automate? Yeah. Because it's like not about skewing all the alligators. It's about taking care of the alligator that will skew you first, whether it's, you know, scaling or process optimization.
I like that.
Yeah.
Looking after the alligator that will kill you first.
I like that. Yeah, I think I was just going to touch on Dom's point earlier about we've all got access to all the knowledge in the world now, but I don't think there is enough people with the wisdom to use that knowledge and translate that knowledge into really actionable insights. So for me, I just talk to my team constantly about, like, just dig into your humanity, dig into the bits that only you can do, and that advice, you know, we're advising founders on some really big decisions. So we've got all of the knowledge, but what's that pearl of wisdom in there that's going to be the thing that's going to change the trajectory of their business?
I forgot, what was the question? What were we talking about?
We were bouncing off.
We've come on an AI
Yeah,
panel. I didn't know we were on an AI
kind of gone
panel.
full circle into that, yeah. Yeah, I've got nothing to add to that, yeah.
I think one of the most interesting thing is the businesses that you've scaled aren't small businesses. They're big businesses. And most people think small. I definitely used to think small. How can we think bigger as founders? How can we think that we're actually creating a difference and leaving an impact?
This is I think the hard part is that, like, what Joe said there in terms of like making people take their humanity, you still need to be like borderline deluded in the first instance to be a founder, to think big. So like everyone's knowledge,
Everyone's smiling, borderline deluded.
everything's democratized, but like in theory, because of the information and the access to things now, everyone could be an entrepreneur, and everyone could start a business, everyone could vibe code something. But you still need that, and whatever it is inside of you as an individual to think, I can do this. Call it delusion, call it self-assurance, call it self-confidence. But you need to have that from the beginning to go, actually, I can solve this problem. And I think it's very difficult to find that spark. But once you have it, inherently, you just do think that, okay, let's take on the world. So it's a hard thing to try and train into somebody. I think it's just, crazy stupidness. And then do it a second time.
Yeah, I think it's a conviction thing, like Dom said. I mean, you know, my company Pressplay that I founded, you know, it was my idea. You know, I came up with it. Like, I had so much conviction to do it. You know, this time around with Polyhedra, it's not it wasn't my idea. And I haven't had that same level of conviction since Press Play. You know, I'm very grateful that I, you know, play a big role in making the founders' dream a reality now, but I haven't had that, like, I don't have that drive like I had. Maybe I'll discover it again at some point and be like, I'm gonna do this, or maybe that's just like a flash in the pan thing. So, you know, I just know how hard it is. You know, and I think with AI, it gives you more shots at the dartboard. You can try more things and go, oh, I really love this. I really see the purpose. I really think this can be successful. And then you'll be willing to kind of give up your life for it.
I don't think we think big enough, though, in the UK.
Sorry, I completely didn't answer the question.
To your point, I really don't. I see like 20, 30 decks every week, and some of them are like, they're just solving small problems. You know, I would say we've got enough socks in the world, so can we create businesses that have got real impact, are solving big world problems, and let's do it from the UK.
I think on the UK piece specifically, you're completely right. Like, our ambition here, we think about the UK being like this like massive market and it being like the center of the world, and historically we've been called how great we are, when reality is, like, if you were sat here at an event in the US, they wouldn't even mention the UK. We wouldn't even come into people's considerations. Same even in Germany or whatever. They wouldn't think about the UK the same way we do. So, like, we've got language proficiency, we've got technical capabilities, we've got finance. Like, we should be building problems which are solving global problems. Like, not just thinking about, okay, what is my issue around me today? And, you know, I don't have any socks today, for example. And I think that comes with a little bit of like this British mentality of like, fear of people being successful, and people, as soon as you put your head above a parapet, people are going to tear you down. Like, our wage, right, our GDP per capita, if we were in the US as a state, we'd be the poorest state in the US. The people in Mississippi would be living better lifestyles than us in the UK. And it's like this kind of toxicity that I promised myself not to talk about and try and be positive about the UK. But like, we've got to make sure we support it, grow it, and build from here and think as big as we can.
Boris, I'd love to come to you as well, because
that's a huge
I think
problem.
Anna is a disruptor, right? It's a big problem that you guys are solving. How can we inspire others to think bigger?
Well, I don't think you should. In a way, scaling as a whole, it's hard to scale out of just the desire to scale. You scale either with your audience, or you scale as you solve the problem that your clients have matter, or you solve more problems for that. And then some business owners, they would dream about scaling, but they actually don't want it. Some businesses are just unscalable by design, and that's fine. Because the mantra is you need to scale. Well, you need to live, and you need to do with your price and earn some money from that. And if you catch that flow, you know, that there is more ways you can solve, or more markets you can go to, okay, you scale, or you find a right new technology. So we were packages stumble into, okay, we can replace an account. And we have all the business banking data to do that. And it's a match between a failure and an opportunity, but we can scale to other markets without reinvesting also all over.
I think to Boris's point there, sometimes you get good entrepreneurs in the wrong businesses, where, again, you know, if they have bigger ambitions, you don't necessarily have to be emotionally wed to the proposition you've got. You can change, you can leave, you can tear it up. But I do think, you know, that lifestyle business piece is very important. But I do see entrepreneurs who are like, you're much more capable than the business you've got right now, and you're probably trapped. And I would encourage them in that situation to try go back to like thinking bigger and build something which is more scalable than the problem you're solving today.
Yeah.
Wow, I feel like I've just had a mini mastermind. Very, very insightful. I love this, really insightful.
Right.
I've had so much fun today, and I've learned loads myself, and I hope everyone's been able to take a couple of nuggets. Can we please stand up and give these four incredible individuals a massive round of applause?
Thanks for watching this special episode from the Festival of Entrepreneurs. Our mission is simple: to help founders and business owners grow faster, think bigger, and take action. And if you were part of the event, thank you for joining us and being part of the community. And if you missed it, don't worry. We'll be back with even more ideas, inspiration, and opportunities to help you take your business to the next level. You can find out more and register for future events at festivalofentrepreneurs.co.uk.